Just like that, we are in month two of quarter two. And while the calendar says you're in motion, you already know execution is only one part of the story. The strength of the work shows in how it continues across touch points, across teams, across time, and how you remain anchored and maintain clarity even when everything else is moving, how your team moves without needing to be directed every 5 minutes. This episode is the first in a three-part series on structure, assessing, aligning, and designing the kind of infrastructure that protects what you've built, the parts that move with consistency because you set the rhythm, the operational clarity that frees you to lead and not just manage. If you've been carrying multiple initiatives, serving at a high level, or balancing client work with all that comes with being an owner, an operator, a leader, a change maker, what I share here will meet you where you are. You'll hear how I design systems that supports this level of work. And if you joined us during National Black Girl Month, welcome back. This is the strategist seat. What I'm sharing in this episode reflects exactly how I build across quarters, schedules, and teams. Let's go. Welcome to Impact Innovators with Felicia Ford, where we dive into the strategies that empower changemaker brands to leave a lasting legacy. Think of this podcast as your audio playbook for meaningful action. What's possible when thought leaders, disruptors, and pioneers align to share their journeys? I'm Felicia Ford, your host, bringing together the brightest minds and the most groundbreaking ideas to help you drive change, navigate through the sticky stuff, and elevate your brand. Whether you're tackling funding hurdles, looking for growth strategies, or seeking the perfect balance between profit and purpose, we've got you covered. Stay tuned and be a part of a movement that's setting new benchmarks in how we think about progress, community, and doing. Let's innovate, impact, and inspire. Welcome back, my friends. I am so excited to be back in the seat on air with you after all that we've been through the last 6 months. It's been an incredible journey, and we've hit so many milestones. We've hit our 50th episode. We hit 2,000 downloads. We finished all of the double features from Strategic Edge, Power Moves for Businesses and Nonprofits, our special edition, the Golden Hour edition. We've been through National Black Girl Month. Oh my gosh, there's been so many things, so many things. And you're back with me. And so I just want to say thank you for coming back here. Now, here's what I think about when I think about you. If you're in academia, human services, nonprofit leadership, ministry, or running a small business, you're holding more than one title and more than one responsibility. And I'm grateful you're here. Whether you're sitting down with a notebook or catching this on the go, I see you, my friend. I I listen to most of my shows on 2 times speed too. So if that's you, you're in good company. And as I was preparing for today's episode, I almost opened with, this year with National Black Girl Month and Strategic Edge magazine and clients and campaign work and being an executive director, all moving at once. But then I stopped because I remembered who I'm speaking to, and this space, this pace, this overlap, that's your normal. It's exactly who we are. We're a special kind of people. And as high performing as we have the capacity to be, I've personally started to shift how I hold it all, but I'll get into that later in the series. But right now, let's name what's true. You're managing programs, people, priorities. You have some systems, right? You already have some systems in place, and especially if you're a licensed program, you have what has been required of you. You couldn't do what you do without these systems. So I know that you already have a rhythm that's baked into your work that folks outside this world may never fully understand. And that's not a dig to them. That's just clarity, right? I recall a post that I shared about the difference between the rhythms of the nonprofit space, the academic space, the ministry space, and the small business space. And of course, that's all different from the corporate space. But here we are as change makers. And then, oh my goodness, when we think about entering the digital space, social media, where pace is different, value is different, validation moves differently, it can feel as if you're playing by someone else's rules in a language that they haven't even tried to translate, because we're not even going to talk about the algorithm today. But that's why I come in, because I have a duality here, and you want to look at me as the bridge here, right? So this episode, I'm sharing how I built and refined some systems that hold the weight of everything that I am committed to. And yes, we're going to talk about automation, but it's not as a buzzword, but as a decision. And so when I say automation, I mean the repeatable actions in your work that no longer need to be carried by you or someone in your C suite or your team member. You set them up once and they keep moving until you decide that they don't need to be in action anymore. Okay. I've layered automation into the structure of my business out of necessity, but also out of this is what my brain needs. And that ensures that the work continues, it continues cleanly, consistently, and in the rhythm with everything else that I lead. So today I'm sharing how those systems were designed, and I'm also sharing how they were designed to protect the rhythm and the integrity of the work for the people who rely on what I'm building, and for it to show up when and how it's supposed to. So this will be about maybe 3 parts in this particular episode. And as I shared, there will be 3 episodes in this series. So you want to stick around. I'll have to say this, friends. So for Felicia Ford and Co., we're coming out of one of our most integrated seasons, from multiple things happening at one time, from the campaign to the magazine to National Black Girl Month. And while I've led this kind of work in my community, this was the first time that I've done it for myself and with a new team. So many dynamics here that I won't unpack all. Many great dynamics, but big dynamics nonetheless. And each initiative carried its own timeline, right? Strategic Edge had a publishing rhythm. National Black Girl Month unfolded across multiple platforms and required ongoing engagement. My clients needed their layered support that didn't rely on, everything being manual and me or my team moving each piece. And then I'm still an executive director and a CEO. And I have to shout out my team for leading this work during the day, every day, where I can get to what I need to get to. Now, you'll hear me say this often, and while my project management self knows this, you may have also heard it stated by Stephen Covey: begin with the end in mind. And that's how I started. So when you begin with the end in mind, it gives you a structure to stay focused, where your presence creates the most value while still ensuring that your work is paced. Timing is everything. So here's what you do. Number one, begin with the end in mind. Number two, think about what work requires your presence. You may already do this, but not have this process written down, but that's a part of setting up an automation, is that you need to write everything down. Okay. So number three, what work can be automated? This will require you to sit with your team or sit with yourself first and just throw everything down on paper, right? Or your whiteboard or your Google Doc. Wherever it needs to land, let it land. Number four, what tools do you need to automate your work? Now, some of these things are just built in, right? People might think, oh, Zoom or Teams or Google Workspace. Yes, those are automation tools. But what else could you use to soften the blow of some things and to increase efficiency in the way that your work is delivered? What can be better for your team? What can be better for you? What can be better for your clients? And lastly, who can lead and oversee the automations, right? That's another discussion for another time. But for me, this is what this looks like, right? So, how I use automations strategically. For National Black Girl Month, we worked from last year's toolkit. We pre-wrote the emails, the articles, the activities. My team used automation tools for captions, for social media publishing. And because this is a national campaign, there were a lot of digital things. There were only digital things, unless you actually purchased a toolkit that you could, flip the pages yourself. My team designed the graphics for social media. They scheduled all of the communication with the guests. All of those things were pre-done. And it required us to sit down, probably across 3 different times, to map out what this year's campaign would look like, right? And then for the podcast, I laugh because sometimes when I talk about this on threads with other podcasters, it's like, you did what? I batched 5 months of content across, I think it was about 6 weeks. But for the National Black Girl Month special episodes, Dr. Akisha and I dedicated 8 hours across 4 weeks to schedule and record all of the episodes. So we recorded in February, and then we released the episodes in April. And when I tell you my team is the only way that I could get any of this done, they are the glue. Okay. So mad props to my team right now. But ongoing, my weekend wind down is to batch recordings. I look at what have I done? Who have I spoken to? What things have come up? And that's how I brainstorm about what I'm going to share, and even about who I'm going to invite to the podcast. And of course, people pitch us to be on the show as well. But that is what we do. That's what I do. All right. And then how this translates for you in community. So back in 2021, I was working on my fellowship for Harvard. And most of the examples that I'm going to share with you, I'm going to do from the last 4 years, because that is what's most relevant in our work. Anything pre-2020 probably isn't going to be as effective, right? But I had over 80 volunteers join me for this attendance awareness campaign that I led here in Hampton Roads. Again, I used a toolkit. My assistant at the time ordered and organized everything based on my vision. So my assistant ordered everything, organized everything based on my vision. I automated every process that could be automated, from the delivery of information to registrations by volunteers, registrations by parents, lunch ordering, you name it, it was automated, right? It was a heavy lift, my friend. One woman show here. And thankfully, Emily was by my side to help me deliver this. And Lydia was also by my side. And my faculty mentor at the time, Carly, was by my side. And of course, the team at Harvard University, CEPR, incredible people, but I still had to do the work myself, right? So I did as much as I could on the front end, and that eased a lot of pressure that came when it came time to actually deliver the process, to host the event, and then to capture the information that I needed from the event, the data that I needed to collect, to then produce my final project, my capstone project for delivery and presentation. You want to think about your work in the same way. On the front end, what information do you need to capture to then deliver to your stakeholders, your donors, your city representatives, that you want to say, hey, this program works and this is how we know it works, right? That's how you become evidence-based. And that term translates in different industries. In our world of change making and when working in communities, it's evidence-based practice, right? And then if you are using social media as a tool and you're familiar with the online business space, then you may hear them use the term social proof. So they mean the same thing, just in different industries. Okay. So this could look like you automating your thank you emails or your announcement emails that go out to your donors, to your referral sources, and even to your clients. And if we talk about documentation, if it's not written, it didn't happen. We know that. But how can we automate the process of collecting, analyzing, reviewing? What might that look like? All right. But we'll talk about documentation at another time. But the systems that I use are straightforward. Every part of them reflects a strategic choice. And of course, we live by our calendars. That's a given. It's the main automation. And I would say, insert the kicker here, normalize scheduling vacations, normalize breaks, normalize celebrations, the fun things. Lead with that and then fill in the rest. When you're wearing multiple hats, what Nicole Murphy from Barter Black calls the chief everything officer, you'll hear her talk about that directly in episode 49. It's real. What moves through automation becomes your grounding. It's a layer of security that allows you to maintain your peace. It allows you to manage the system and not manage all of the individual parts. And because the structure doesn't rely on memory or manual energy, that means that reliability shows up. It's in how your team moves. It's in how your clients receive information. It's in how your systems reinforce the standards that you lead with. Okay. So with this structure in place, you have space to evaluate what's working and then shift what needs to evolve without losing momentum, right? Several of my clients have watched how I use some AI tools or how I build workflows, and they recognize that the value isn't necessarily in the tool themselves, but in how they're integrated. Because I will tell you, there is one particular AI tool that I probably correct it more than it helps me. And so I don't use that platform as often for certain things. But others, it allows me to like brain dump and then it can organize my stuff. Or I'll say, hey, this is what I want for dinner this week. Please create a shopping list. Or hey, this is what we're thinking we're going to do. Can you put it in order? Like it's so fast and it helps. So I use automation to carry the parts of the work that could be managed so that I can be present with the people. What you do, what your team does, what I do, it's already requires so much of us. And I need time to think. I like having time to think and to be grounded and available when the stakes are high. And I know that each of you is in a role where the stakes are high. When we can let the automations do the heavy lifting and handling the repeatable parts, we're not just more productive, but we're more present. And that is the win, my friend. Now, if this is the rhythm you've been wanting to build, something designed to carry the weight of what you've already created, let's talk. Send me the word structure via email, and that will start the conversation. I will be responding, me personally. Okay. If you don't already have my email, I invite you to head over to resources.feliciafordandco.com, scroll to the bottom and click on Stay Connected. That is where you can share your email with me and we can have a conversation. You'll find resources there that support how you lead, how you operate, and how you grow. See you next time, my friends. Hey, Changemaker, real quick before you go, if today's episode helped you in some way, the best way to thank me is to head over to Apple Podcasts, subscribe to the channel, and leave a review. I'd also love to connect with you over on social. You can find me at Friends Call Me Fee. Until next time, keep changing the game.